700 exiles, cast out of their father's kingdom, had crossed the wide sea and washed up at last on the copper-red shore of an island no chronicle had yet named. They had lost everything to reach it, and as we left them, something in the green shadow beyond the tree line was already watching. For the island was not as empty as it seemed. It had its own people, older than any chronicle. And now the strangers would have to reckon with them. But the chronicle says the prince did not land unwatched by heaven. Far to the north, in that same hour, the Buddha was passing from the world, lying down between two sala trees to enter his final rest. And with one of his last thoughts, it says, he turned to Sakka, king of the gods, and spoke of the green island in the southern sea. "Guard this prince," he said, "and guard the island, for there my teaching will one day be established." So Sakka gave the charge to a god the color of the blue lotus and sent him down to watch over the shore where the exiles slept. He did not come in glory. He came as a wandering holy man, worn and dusty, and sat down beneath a tree, so that when Vijaya's people found him, they saw only an ascetic. "What island is this?" they asked him. "The island of Lanka," he answered. "There are no men here. Here no harm will find you." Then he sprinkled water over them and wound a single thread of plain-spun cotton about each man's wrist, a small, humble blessing. And when he had done it, the chronicle says, he rose into the air and vanished. The men looked at the threads on their hands and did not yet understand that they had just been armored against something. Soon after, a dog came padding out of the trees. One of the men followed it, against the prince's word. For where there are dogs, he thought, there are people. The dog led him deep into the forest, to a still pool ringed with lotus, and beside the water sat a woman, alone, spinning thread upon a spindle, calm as a hermit, beautiful and entirely unafraid of a stranger with a sword. He drank and bathed and gathered lotus shoots, and as he turned to go, she spoke without looking up. "Stay," she said, "you are my prey." And he stood as though his feet had grown into the earth, for she was no hermit. She was a Yakkhini, one of the island's own people, with powers the strangers had no name for, and her name was Kuveni. She meant to devour him, as she had devoured others before him. But the small cotton thread on his wrist held, and against it her hunger could do nothing. So in her fury she cast him down into a chasm in the rock, and one by one, as they came searching, she took all 700 the same way, swallowed into the earth, and silence. When his men did not return, fear came over Vijaya at last. He took up his weapons, sword and bow, axe and spear and shield, and followed their trail into the forest. It led him to the beautiful pool, and there he saw the thing that turned his fear to certainty. Footprints leading in to the water's edge, and none leading out. Only the woman, spinning as if 700 men had never passed this way at all. "Lady," he said carefully, "have you seen my men?" "What do you want with your people, prince?" she answered, smiling. "Drink, bathe," and in that one word, prince, he had her, for no ordinary woman could know his rank. So he spoke his name aloud and took hold of her, and swore that unless she gave his men back, she would not live to see the morning. And the Yakkhini, who had swallowed 700 men without fear, begged for her life. "Spare me, Lord," she pleaded, "and I will give you a kingdom, and be your wife, and serve you in every way you wish." He did not trust her, so he made her swear a binding oath. And the moment it was sworn, he set her to it. "Bring back my men." And she brought them, all of them, up out of the dark and into the light, alive. "They are hungry," he said. Then she showed them rice and food and fine goods of every kind, and only slowly did the men understand what they were eating from. It had belonged to traders who sailed to this coast before them and never sailed away. They were dining on the belongings of the dead. That night, pleased by the first share of the meal the prince handed her, Kuveni changed. The austere spinner was gone. In her place stood a girl of 16, adorned head to foot, shell and gold at her throat, flowers in her hair, the same face, utterly transformed. She raised a fine bed beneath a canopy at the foot of a tree, and there the prince took her as his own, looking already to the kingdom she had promised him, and his men made their camp around the tent and slept. As the night deepened, Vijaya heard it. Music and singing carried faint across the dark. "What is that sound?" he asked, and Kuveni told him. Away in the forest stood a city of her own people, Sirisavatu, and tonight it was full of light. A chieftain's daughter was to be married, and all the Yakkhas had gathered for a festival that would last 7 days. Then she said the thing that would damn her. "Kill them," she whispered. "Kill them all, tonight, while they are gathered, or it will never be done. They will turn on me, for it was through me that you strangers set foot on this island. It is them, my lord, or us." "How can I fight them," he said, "when I cannot even see them?" "Wherever they are," she answered, "I will cry out. Strike where you hear my voice, and my power will carry your blade to them." And so she did. Through the fire-lit dark her cries went up, and where she cried, he struck. Understand what this was. The island's first people, gathered for a wedding, betrayed to a stranger by one of their own. One by one the festival fires guttered out. The drums faltered. The singing thinned into silence. And by the time the sun came up over Sirisavatu, the music had stopped for good. Vijaya walked out of that silence dressed in new splendor, for he had taken the garments of the slain Yakha king and put them on. It was the first time since his exile that he looked anything like a lord again, and yet he was wearing a dead man's clothes. With the island's people broken, no one was left to stand in his way. Vijaya went down to the copper shore and founded his city there, Tambapanni. His companions spread across the land and raised villages of their own, timber and thatch along the rivers, names the island would keep for 1,000 years. The wanderers had become settlers, the exile a king in all but name. And Kuveni bore him 2 children, a son and a daughter, the first children of this new and bloody kingdom. She had given him everything, the island, the victory, the splendor he now wore. She had betrayed her own people down to the very last of them for what she believed was love. But a throne wants more than a wife. Soon his ministers would come to him with a question about queens and noble blood, and Vijaya would remember, as men always do, that people are ever afraid of what is more than human. The woman who had won him a kingdom had made herself the one thing that kingdom could not keep. She did not know it yet. But the bargain she had struck at the pool was already coming for her.